Hello, and welcome to the very first Coach Connect office hours. My name is Yolanda Owens, and I'm a career coach with the Muse and Fairygodboss, and I'm really excited to be with you today to answer questions about your career conundrums and more focused on questions around how you can integrate your personal passions with your professional goals. So I'm anxious to get the talk started. We got some questions prior to the session today, so I'm going to address a few of those. If you have other questions, please drop them in the chat, and I'm going to try to address as many of them as possible. So looking forward to this. First question I have here is, I've been feeling stuck in my current role and overwhelmed with my workload, and I want to create a better work-life experience for myself. What small changes or habits would you suggest to help me for improving my work? First of all, that's an excellent question, and I think that might resonate with a lot of people. I feel like, more companies are doing more with less, and people are feeling very overwhelmed at work and need some sort of release. And so often when I'm coaching clients, I tell them when they're feeling overwhelmed or they feel as though they're kind of lost, that they need to take a step back and try to regain some control. That's really, really important because when you're feeling overwhelmed, you feel like you're not in control of things. So try to take ownership of something. So one way of doing that is to think about things that you've had on your bucket list that you haven't done in a really, really long time, whether it's taking a class or maybe joining a book club or, whatever the case may be. Think about something on that bucket list that you've been meaning to do and have been putting off, and do that. And if it's on a schedule, even better. That gives you something to look forward to on a day-to-day basis. And again, it's going to give you that sense of control that you're able to do something that's just for you. That helps tremendously. I know when I was going through that in my career, it was something that helped me. And instead of thinking about being overwhelmed at work, it helps you to even get through your day a little quicker because you have something to look forward to. So that way the day goes by a little faster. And again, that you're going to be doing something that you enjoy. So that's a great tip right there. Let's see if we have another question here. Another question here is, I'd like to integrate my passion for logistics and fashion. However, I've run my own business on the side and haven't been able to highlight these endeavors in landing a full-time job in fashion logistics arena. What do you suggest? That's a really, really good question. And I feel like having a side hustle nowadays is more common than not. So I guess for this person, my first question would be are you putting that side hustle that you have or that side business on your resume? And if not, you should. That's experience. Whether you're getting paid for it or not, it's experience. So same goes as if you're doing volunteer work or, working on passion projects, whatever the case may be. That's valid experience. So make sure you're highlighting those things on your resume and paying attention and really highlighting your transferable skills when you're putting that on your resume. Because that's the key to all of this. That's really the key of integrating your passions in your professional life. Is oftentimes you have side projects or passion projects or side hustles that you're working on that have transferable skills. For example, I had a client I was working with not long ago who has been designing a website for a nonprofit organization free of charge for the last 5 years. And he's looking to become a web designer and make a career transition. I'm like, you've been doing this for 5 years. You have 5 years of solid work experience and a portfolio. That should be going on your resume, and those should be talking points for you when you're going through your job search. So again, making sure that you're putting that on there, highlighting the transferable skills, and not making apologies for those kind of things. Those experience is experience, whether you get paid for it or not. And I see here we have a couple of questions in the chat. So I'm old, so I'm going to put my glasses on. Let's see. Any guidance on pivoting late in a career to go after my passions? Ooh, I love that question. And yes, that's very doable. Um, it is easy. You can make that kind of pivot, and again, I'm going to go back to talking about focusing on your transferable skills. Regardless of what industry you are in now and what industry that you're going in, you're going to have skills that are going to translate across the board. So, first, take some inventory on what those things are and know that, again, you're going to bring things to the table. Oftentimes people think that just because they're making a career transition that they have to start a new job in the mailroom. No, you've had a number of years of experience doing certain things, and your learning curve is going to be a lot shorter than you think. So, think about those things that you have in common with that job and highlight those things. When you go into a job search, you spend more time apologizing for the skills you don't have instead of highlighting the skills that you do. So, take some inventories of the skills that you do have. And another practice that I like to suggest people to do is to go through your resume and highlight proud accomplishments from each of the jobs, relevant jobs that you've had, or passion projects that you've been working on, and write down 3 to 5 proud accomplishments from each of those things. What that does is it kind of tricks your brain, because if you're talking, you can attach your emotion to whatever it is that you're talking about. You're going to relive that emotion each and every time you have that conversation. So it's going to keep things positive, and most of all, it's going to make sure that you speak about your experience with confidence. So hopefully that's helpful, and you'll be able to take some of those tips and apply that to your job search and the conversations that you're having about the new area that you're exploring. And good luck to you with that as well. Let me see if we have some more questions here. Let's see. Ageism is real. Yes, it is. I have experience, but I can't seem to land anything. Any words of encouragement? Yeah, I hear this question a lot. And, yes, ageism is a real thing, but you can't control your age at the end of the day. So, again, don't make apologies for it, or think to yourself that that's the reason why you're not getting positions. A quick fix to that is, maybe only going back 10 years on your resume. So, ageism doesn't come into the equation. Another thing that you can do is that, if you're worried about the ageism and maybe the experience that's relevant to what you're looking to apply for goes a little further back, leave the dates off the resume, make them fall in love with your experience, and then, you can talk about the time period later if that is a point of a contention. But more than likely, they're going to be looking at the experience, not necessarily when on your career trajectory or timeline that took place. So talk about that experience with confidence. Don't make any apologies for your age or things that you can't control. And again, know that you haven't made it to where you are in your career, not knowing what you're doing. So keep those things in mind and just stay positive. Another thing, just to keep in mind is a lot of times these things aren't personal. Job searches aren't really logical. There's no set equation where A plus B is going to get you to C. Everything is very, very subjective. And in such a competitive market as we're in right now, job searches are taking longer than normal. And I know a lot of people who are very high performers who are even having difficulties finding jobs. So give yourself some grace, knowing that the average job search is taking anywhere between 6 to 9 months. So know that you're going to need to give yourself some grace and some time to be able to make it through these job searches. So again, it will happen. It doesn't always happen as quickly as we'd like them to happen, but it will. So stay positive. And, if you need to chat, find me on the Muse and we can talk. So hopefully that is helpful. Great. Let's see, what other questions do we have? I have another question here. I'm looking to make a career move towards either another industry or focus on other skills already acquired. However, I'm struggling to figure out how to apply to jobs in the new field where most of my experience was as quantifiable as in a different industry. How can I open up new opportunities for me in this competitive landscape? That's a really, really good question. And that's one of my sweet spots. I love working with career transitioners. And as I mentioned before, it doesn't mean that you have to relegate yourself to working in the mailroom just because you're making a career change. If you're looking at something in a different industry, but you're doing the same job, know that you already have the baseline skills. So, the things that you're doing in your industry probably translate to other industries as well. And keep in mind that regardless of, making wherever you're going, whether you're changing, changing companies or changing industries, there's going to be a learning curve. So give yourself some grace of that. And it's going to be the same learning curve regardless of where you go. So there's going to be a learning curve where you're going to have to learn the company's, processes and procedures and understanding the culture and how they do business. So give yourself some grace with that. But knowing that you have those baseline skills, talk about those things. And when you're writing your resume or you're going into interview situations, have the conversation being industry agnostic, not highlighting that you have these experience in a particular industry, but just highlighting the experience itself. That's really going to help the audience that you're talking to understand where there's those connection points. Because if you keep focusing on that you're in a particular industry and they're not, then again, they're not going to be able to see the apples to apples comparison. So speak more generally about that experience, not connecting it to a particular industry. That way they can see the connection points and you can have the conversations on a similar vantage point. Otherwise, you're going to end up apologizing for not having that experience, and that's going to make you seem as though you're not confident in your ability. And that's half the battle when you're in a job search, is sounding confident in your ability. So again, if you leave the industry out and just talk about your accomplishments, the kind of things that you did that made the job better, added value, then that's where the focal point is going to be. And again, you don't want to talk about what you don't know. You want to focus on what you do and how you've added value. So hopefully that's helpful. Great, great. I see another question in the chat here. So let me take a look at this. How do you advise networking and seeking a new role without saying you're seeking a new role? That's a great question. How do you, and I get this question a lot. It's just like, how do you network with people without seeming opportunistic? There's a number of different ways of doing this. My first rule of thumb is when reaching out to people is to not say right off the bat that you're looking for a role. If it's someone that you know and you haven't been in contact with for a long while, make that reconnection, is that, you're just catching up. Hey, we haven't chatted in a while. You came to mind. Let's catch up and get a chance to get that reconnection. And then once you've had at least 2 or 3 meaningful conversations, then that's a really good segue for you once you've kind of reestablished the connection, reestablished some trust, that you can go ahead and then let them know that you're looking for something and make whatever ask that you need to ask. So, I have what I call my kind of social algorithm. And that means that, first of all, you need to have some sort of common denominator. You need to have some people in your circle that you equally know. That way, you kind of eliminate the stranger danger. And then you need to have 3 meaningful contacts with that individual before you can establish trust or have an opportunity to ask them for whatever you need without seeming opportunistic. And, one thing that I like to do, so I'm never coming across as being opportunistic, is to make sure that I'm keeping in touch with all of my contacts on a regular basis. So what I do is about 3 or 4 times a year, I'll send out an email to people letting them know what's going on with me, whether it's for a holiday or I've had a life event or, whatever the case may be. It's Groundhog's Day. I'll send out an email just, letting people know what I've been up to, and then always invite them to, to message me and let me know what's going on with them, whatever the case may be. And you'd really be surprised how many people look forward to that or appreciate that. And I found even if they don't respond to the email that I've sent out, that they're still reading it and having an impact. For example, a few years ago, I have this cheesy Thanksgiving email that I send out every year. And a few years ago, I was traveling for Thanksgiving. I wasn't able to send out this email. And people who had never, like in a decade, responded to this email, sent me a message saying, "Oh my God, you usually send this email out. You didn't send it out this year." And they were ready to send the National Guard out looking for me because I hadn't sent it out. So, although they hadn't responded, they were looking and paying attention. And again, looking forward to that. And then too, by sending that out and keeping connections with people, it almost guilts them into wanting to help you. They know that you're staying in contact with them consistently. So when you do make an ask, they almost feel things like, "Oh my God, this person is always keeping in contact with me. Let me help them because, I haven't been in contact or I haven't responded to that." And also help can come from unexpected places. So know that even by doing little things, by sending emails, mass emails out to people, just, letting them know how you're doing or asking what's going on or asking a question, even if they don't respond, they're watching and can be sounding help from unexpected places. Again, oftentimes these people won't respond to me, but other people that they know will respond to me or to the ask that I'm making. So know that there are other ways for you to reach out to people without saying, "I need help," initially, that will get you the results that you're looking for. So long response to your question, but it was an excellent question. So thank you so much for asking. Great. All righty, let's see what other questions we have going on here. Let's see, how do I speak to title demotions due to reorgs when transitioning to new careers externally? That is a really, really good question. I have found that, job titles are fluid. And what means something at one organization could mean something at another organization. And oftentimes when people are doing job searches, I will tell them to look across 3 levels. And what I mean by that is, say, for example, you are looking at a director level position. So you may want to apply for director level positions, senior manager level positions, and also VP positions, because depending on the size and scope of the organization, those things could be interchangeable and mean the same thing at a different organization. So don't worry about, if you've had a title change. And also at an organization, again, it could mean something else at another organization. And also, don't feel as though you need to be tethered to the wording of that job, job title as you're going through your job search. In the era of AI and key search words and applicant tracking systems, where we're so focused on these key search words, it's okay for you to adapt your job titles to be seen where you want to be found. So if that means that you need to tweak your job title to be something more general, that way when recruiters are typing in job titles, you are going to pop up in their searches, then do so. So, for example, if you are a marketing manager or a creative director, but you are called something else at your organization, use that creative director or marketing manager title when you're putting on your materials, whether it's on your resume or on your LinkedIn profile. Again, the key thing here is for you to be searchable. So if you need to adjust those job titles so you're searchable for the types of roles that you're applying to, then do so. That's a key thing that I tell people when they're working on their LinkedIn profiles, that you want to make sure that the name, the job title that you have under your picture and your name on your LinkedIn profile reflects the job that you want, not necessarily the job title that you have. That way, when recruiters and companies are searching for job titles, you're going to come up in those searches. So Again, don't be afraid, and no one's going to think that you're lying or what have you. Again, these job titles are fluid, and if you want to stay competitive and you want to be searchable, you have to put those terms where you want to be found. So hopefully that's helpful. Great. What other questions do we have here that we haven't touched on? Let's see. We have a question here. How do you realistically apply for a job when the forms require dates for education and job history? Oh, I think that is the bane of everyone's existence who's ever searched for a job recently. You upload your resume, and you're required to fill out all of these forms, asking you the same exact information. And that, first of all, is a big time suck. And it's also very frustrating. Depending in every organization is different. There's really no bypassing that. That's just, information that their applicant tracking system needs. And, based on the applicant tracking system, some of them are able to scrape that information from your resume and some of them aren't. So, it's just a process that's a pain in the tuchus, but we have to adhere to. I can tell you from a recruiter's lens, and I spent more than 20 years as a corporate recruiter, 9 times out of 10, nobody's looking at that application. More than likely, they're diving right into your resume and looking at that information. So, although it's a pain to fill out those forms, again, that's more, operational compliance than anything. But from a recruiting lens, more than likely, they're not delving deep into those online applications. That they're looking more at your resume, and if they're requiring a cover letter, looking at that. But delving into those nitty-gritty details, I don't think you have much to worry about it. So again, although it's taking a lot of time out of your day, I wouldn't be too concerned about all of that in terms of people taking a deep dive. The only thing that I would say is to make sure that the information matches what you have on your resume and your LinkedIn profile. That way, if they do take a deep dive, that there's no discrepancies that's going to raise any red flags. But that's a great question. Let's see. Oh, I see hello from Texas. Hi, Texas. Let's see if we have any other questions here that I haven't addressed. Great. Here we have a question. Any guidance on an industry change after retirement at age 50? Looking to go into another industry after retirement. Oh, God bless you. I wish I could go into retirement. Yes. And, that can be a challenge, but I also see, looking to make a change at that point in your career. That's exciting because you get to reinvent yourself. What do you want yourself to be, the 2.0 version of that? And at this point, if you're 50, you've had more than 20 years of experience. And that is a lot to bring to a table. So, think about some of the things that you would like to do. And again, what those transferable skills are. What are some things that you're passionate about? And also, what are the things that you're really, really good at? Oftentimes we do jobs and we do things in our jobs that we don't absolutely like, but they're necessary evils. This is an opportunity for you to work on some things that you enjoy doing and just segment on that if you'd like. Oftentimes at this stage of your career, doing consulting work can be really beneficial for you. Farming out your experience to be able to consult others on how you've been able to be successful on doing what you do. So, like I said, picking an aspect of your job that you really enjoy doing, and then, farming out your experience as a consultant to help others get up to speed, or being able to strategize and look at big picture and advise them on how they can do business better, smarter, more efficiently, and being able to get more bang for their buck. So again, congratulations to you on that. I hope you're able to find some really cool ways to reinvent yourself and to be able to share the expertise that you've been able to gain over the years with others, because you've earned it at this point. Great. Let's see if we have any others here. Let's see. Hello, Arizona. Wow, we've got people from all over the place. California, Maryland. I'm in Northern Virginia. Hi, neighbor. I'm looking to see if we have any other questions that haven't been addressed. And if you have a question that you haven't dropped in the chat, please do. We've got a few more minutes left in our time here. Hi from Memphis. Hello, Memphis. Great, great. Well, I'll look to see if we get any more questions that come into the chat, but just wanted to, kind of close out by saying, we're in a time period where, like I said, we're feeling burnt out, or, we're looking for new things, whether you're dealing with a toxic workplace or whether you're just hitting a career maturation point and want to look for something new. I encourage you to explore your passions and explore things that you enjoy doing. And it doesn't necessarily have to come in the form of a full-time job. If you're feeling burnt out, or you're feeling that you're overwhelmed and you don't have control over the things that you're doing in your 9 to 5, that's a great way to, again, start tapping into some of those things that you've been putting off that you've wanted to do, whether it's a passion project or whether it's doing some volunteer work. Or whether it's starting, a side business or a side hustle that you've always wanted to do. Now's the time to do those things, and and take back some ownership of your career, your passions, and being able to do things that you enjoy doing. That's a form of self-care, and I feel like it's necessary. My grandmother had a saying: sometimes you have to do the things that you have to do so you can do the things that you want to do. So, make that 9 to 5 a resource for yourself to pay, or to have the resources to do the things that you would like to do. And then make sure that you're carving out time to do some of the things that you want to do. And, I had the question the other day that came from a young lady. She's just like, I see that you do a lot of things. How do you do this? And I don't know that there is a magic formula to that. What I would say is that you make time for the things that are important to you. And, you will carve out hours in the day, or hours that, or add on hours that aren't there, if it's something that you're passionate about and that you want to do. So I encourage you to just get in the mindset of doing things that are important to you, carving that time out, and then not making any concessions for that. Just doing it, and not doing it for anyone else other than yourself. We do things for other people all day, every day. You need to take some time and ownership for yourself. So take some time for yourself, however that looks. And again, knowing that that experience is a valuable experience that no one can take from you. If you can put that on a resume, or making sure that you're relaying some of those things, whether they're personal, professional, academic, relaying those experiences when you're talking with employers, or talking with individuals about potential opportunities, know that that's only going to make you seem more well-versed, more versatile, and also adding to your arsenal of skills that make you the unique professional that you are. So keep that in mind, and know that that's something that's unique to you that no one can take from you. All right. Well, I see that we are at the end of our time. Thank you so very much for attending today, for all the amazing questions. And know that we're going to be doing this on a regular basis. So I hope you'll come back next month. There'll be another coach here providing more advice on another topic. So please do so. And if you'd like more career advice, I really encourage you to go to Coach Connect through the Muse and book time with myself or some of the other amazing coaches that are out there. But take this time for you and know that your career matters. Thank you so much again for your time, and have a great rest of the week and a great weekend.